just that jag really that really sticks out though, look. Mind you, what's that? There were a load of dogs here last time. What is that? Morning. What's up, fam-a-lamb? Here's my obligatory appearance at the start of the video. In today's video, you lucky lot, it's that time of year again, the festive season is upon us. Let's jump straight in like the impatient little rascals we are.
So it's time for our annual visit to Coffee Bore. It's a place that starts out as a cafe and then very quickly forgets it was ever supposed to be one. You arrive expecting an iced latte and instead you find yourself wandering into what looks like the afterlife for American machinery. A sort of metallic Valhalla stretching across the Thai countryside. Part museum, part workshop, part dream, and somehow still a functioning coffee shop with a loyalty card. Look at this, wanderers. A full-sized aeroplane parked like someone simply misjudged the runway by a good several kilometres. Inside, they've converted the cockpit into seating. You can sip a cappuccino in the pilot's chair, hands on the controls, throttle eager beneath your fingertips, pretending you're taxiing out for takeoff rather than waiting for your order number to be called. And it doesn't stop there. There's another plane just over there doing exactly the same job. 2 aircraft condemned to serve ice drinks and birthday selfies into infinity. If heaven had a sense of humour, it probably looks something like this. There's another couple of planes over there as well. That one there, that's for sale. 10 to 12 million baht would get you that beast. Bit expensive, I know. I'll be honest, I'm no aircraft expert, but these feel like working planes. The sort that didn't really make the headlines, didn't pose for recruitment posters and didn't arrive with pomp, ceremony and drama. I think a lot of them are transporters. The unsung carriers of everything that mattered. People, parcels, spare parts, letters from home folded too many times. These were the wings of logistics, of patience, of long days and longer runways. These are the workhorses. They lifted without glamour and landed without any applause. And yet wars don't move a single inch without machines like this. Steady, dependable, quietly indispensable. Now they rest here. Paint faded, bellies empty, still shaped like purpose. Proof that history isn't only written by the fast, the furious and the loud, but also by those who carried the weight. Most of the planes sitting here, the ones that you see the most, are probably the workhorses. I mean, there's something peculiarly human about these planes, unlike the jets, which scream and shout, or the bombers, which brood and are really moody. The little ones, these bird dogs here, they observe. They were never meant to dominate the sky. They were meant to read it, to hover, to linger, to notice what others missed. They were the aircraft of quiet courage, flying low, slow, mapping roads that barely deserved the name, peering down into villages, rivers, clearings where the jungle parted just enough to suggest a story. Their pilots were not conquerors of the heavens. They were clerks of the air, bookkeepers of terrain, writing invisible ledgers of movement and meaning across the land below. In another life, these machines might have delivered mail, chased cattle, sprayed crops, or carried doctors to remote towns. Here, they carried responsibility. They marked targets, guided others, and bore the uncomfortable knowledge that what they saw could not be unseen. They were the eyes before the fists, before the gunfight. I find them strangely polite, though, as though they survived their duty and are now content to be used in gentler ways, posing for photographs, sheltering children from the sun, teaching us that not all wars were fought by the loudest machines. The engines are silent, but their posture remains attentive, as if still waiting for instructions that will never come. Some histories are written in blood, guts and thunder. Others are written in pencil. These little planes, they wrote theirs carefully. Let's go for a wander. Careful of the motorcycles though, this place is always busy. Families pile out of vans, couples take photos, teenagers crawl over jeeps like they're auditioning for a remake of a film that nobody's making. This is part attraction, part restoration yard, and part gloriously uncontrolled time capsule. Now look at this section. It's an entire armada of helicopters. You've got light scouts, Hueys, utility birds, even a couple of heavy lifters sagging gently under the weight of memory. Their engines are long quiet, but the shapes remain unmistakable. The bowed doors, the toothy grills, the postures of machines that once knew how to dance in the sky. My goodness me, the Jeeps. There are enough here to restart an American motor pool from 1964. Now, some of them look like you could turn the key and drive straight into a war movie. Others look like they've tried to drive out of one and lost the argument. Frames bent by time, tyres chewed by sun, dashboards that probably once held Polaroids and cigarette burns and the peculiar hopes of 20-somethings who felt simultaneously immortal and overwhelmed. Let's play a festive season game and see how knowledgeable you people are. How many different manufacturers of military Jeeps can you see today? For example, how many Kaiser Jeeps, how many Ford M151s, how many Willys Marine Jeeps with reinforced bumpers? Can you see any Dodges? Can you see any Dodge trucks? Can you see anything from World War II? And if there's anything rare you see, point it out. Leave your answers down below. Over there, see that cluster of boats? Those aren't Thai river boats gone astray. Those are the pretty rare river patrol boats, the kind that once prowled murky deltas and narrow channels, engines snarling as they darted between mangrove shadows. These were machines built for tension, low, sharp, muscular things that carried men into places where the map turned into rumour. Sitting here under a hot Thai sun, they look like sharks stranded on a beach, still dangerous in memory, if not in motion. And scattered everywhere, under tarps, on shelves, hanging from rafters, are the relics of daily life in uniform, helmets dented not by battle but by boredom and bad landings, jackets with names still stitched inside, dog tags, photographs, enamel badges, carved trinkets made by men passing time far from home, men who smoked too much, joked too loudly, prayed too quietly, and masturbated in the dead of night under their blankets. Almost all of it is genuine, because when the bases were cleared, they were cleared with a thoroughness bordering on the theological. Everything came out, everything. The tools, the toys, the souvenirs, the things nobody meant to pack and the things that nobody could bear to throw away. Walk a little further in and you'll hear the heart of the place. Grinders, welders, spray guns. Someone is always repainting a truck for a film shoot, touching up a helicopter for a music video, or resurrecting a Jeep so a new generation can appreciate the stubborn charisma of 1960s American steel. It's half restoration shop, half resurrection ceremony. And as you look around, past the planes that pour cappuccinos, the Jeeps that refuse to die, the boats still dreaming of rivers, you can't help thinking about the people who once used all this, the pilots who tapped the dials in those cockpits, the gunners who crouched behind those shields, the mechanics who kept these engines alive with grease-stained devotion, the young men who rode those Jeeps across dusty bases, sunburnt, sentimental, and always one letter from home away from tears. Coffee War is many things. A theme park of old machinery, a scrapyard blessed with caffeine, a shrine to a conflict Thailand didn't fight, but most certainly hosted. But more than anything, it's a reminder that objects can outlive the noise that created them. That history lingers in rivets and paint flakes and the faint smell of old oil hiding beneath the scent of espresso. And here, wandering through this surreal landscape of wings and wheels and warboats, you get the sense that the past isn't gone. It's just having a quiet cup of coffee, waiting for someone to notice it again.